Church Growth Unleashed, diving into all things leadership and church growth. Provide the help, encouragement, insights that you need along the journey of growing yourself as a leader and your ministry. Hey guys, welcome back to the Church Growth Unleashed podcast. We talk about everything church growth, leadership. I'm your host, Danny Anderson. It is a pleasure to be back with you. And today I am going to push you a little bit. I'm going to make you uncomfortable, which is good because we're supposed to be uncomfortable. God has not called us to do small things. He's called us to do big things, and that makes us uncomfortable. I know I personally usually don't grow as a leader unless someone pushes me to grow and challenges me to do some difficult things. So we're going to talk today about some challenging things. I want to speak today to the pastors out there, ministry leaders, and if you're a business leader today joining us as well, this will be applicable to you. I want to talk about what do you do when you're stuck, when your business is stuck, when your church is stuck, and you're not experiencing the growth that you want to see or that you'd hope to see, that you're praying to see. Maybe it's in weekend attendance, maybe you're not seeing baptisms like you'd like to, or maybe you're not seeing people join your serve team or join small groups. Things are just kind of stagnant, or maybe they're growing, but they're not growing at the pace that they should be growing. How do you get unstuck? I want to talk about that today, and I'm gonna push you a little bit today, which is good. So, if you'll trust me enough to do that, we'll just jump right in. What do you do when you're kind of stuck and stagnant? I've got 4 ideas for you today. These ideas really help me to get unstuck and to see our church continue to grow and see people come to Christ and grow in Christ. The first idea I want to share with you today is you have to have a big dream. I mean, you have to have an impossible goal out there. You got to dream big, and you got to put a huge target on the wall. This is so critical. I love the quote from, I think you pronounce his name, Goethe, but he says, "Dream no small dreams, for they stir not the hearts of men." We serve a God that can do more than we ask or even think, right? That's what Ephesians tells us. We need to have a big dream. I talk about this in my book, Church Growth Unleashed. You have to have a big vision, an impossible vision. At our church, we use the book Traction to help us kind of run the church. It's an operating system by Gino Wickman. I can put that book in a link in the show notes for you. And in that book, Gino Wickman basically advises and coaches you to create a 10-year dream, a 10-year vision. And it's got to be big and it's got to be audacious. And because that's what keeps everyone on track and keeps everyone pushing together towards the same end. And it provides inspiration and encouragement. All that is really, really exciting. But I think there's another reason why you need to have a big dream. And the reason is because it requires you as a leader to put forth different effort. You see, it's the dream. You could also use the word the standard of what you're expecting to happen in the future that determines the effort that you're going to put in. In other words, a big dream actually forces you as a leader to change. And I'm going to talk more about this in a little bit in the 4th idea that I'm going to help you with today. But a big vision, a clear vision, an impossible vision actually puts you in a situation as a leader where you actually have to become a different kind of leader to achieve that goal. And so that kind of sets things up for you to really put forth the effort to push through when you're stuck. At our church, we've got a huge dream. We call it 12 and 12. We want to launch 12 campuses a year. I'm sorry, 1 campus a year for the next 12 years. So right now we're 2 years into that vision. 2024, we launched a campus in downtown Greenwood, Indiana. This year, 2025, we launched a campus in Columbus, Indiana, and we've got our sights on North Vernon, Indiana, potentially for 2026. It's a big, audacious, seemingly impossible goal that's going to require lots of great people, lots of money, and it just seems daunting. But that's the vision that is out in front of us, and our whole team knows that. Everybody's clear on that, and we're all working towards that goal. Last night I was hanging out with some of my friends that They're not on staff. They attend the church, but we just hang out once a week, sort of like a quasi small group of guys. We get together, and we were talking about this, and they were excited about the vision. And these are just average guys in the church, and they all know the vision of our church because it is crystal clear. We talk about it all the time. I preach about it all the time. I mention it in staff meeting. You have to have a big, clear, audacious, impossible vision. That's the first step, because that sets you up to put forth the effort that's needed to fulfill that vision. That's number one if you're stuck. The second idea I want to present to you guys today is you have to take more risks. You have to take more risks. What do I mean by that? I was in Starbucks yesterday, and I ran into a local pastor here in central Indiana, and he was excited because Easter, they had doubled their attendance. They were running like 200 or so. They had 450 people. And he was excited about that, but then he was a little discouraged as well because he confessed to me that, he kind of missed an opportunity to go to 2 services. And he said, man, I was going back and forth, and, we decided not to launch 2 services after Easter. And I actually asked him, I said, well, why didn't you do it? And here's what he said. He just said, I was afraid that, we wouldn't have the volunteers to support it. And, the human resources, and we weren't really ready. And so they went back to 1 service. He didn't take the risk. And I gently said to him, I said, here's the truth. Here's the truth for you. Here's the truth for me. You'll never have enough resources. You'll never have enough people. There's always going to be a shortage of money and people if you've got a big, audacious vision. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should push forward. We should take more risks. But sometimes as pastors and leaders, we're afraid. We're afraid that it's not going to work out. We're afraid of failing. And that's something that you and I need to get over, this concept of failure. Well, what if I fail at this? I love what John Maxwell said in his book, incredible book, by the way, Failing Forward. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward. In that book, he said the difference between average people and achieving people is their perception of and response to failure. How do you perceive failure? How do I perceive it? How do I respond to it? Well, here's my perception of failure with John Maxwell's help and others. Failure is a good thing. Like failure is part of success. It's like no one does anything significant without massive failures along the way. In fact, if you're not failing, that proves that you're not pushing hard enough. We should be failing all the time as leaders. And so that's my perception of failure. Like, in other words, I want to see, like, what are we trying and what are we failing at? And that's how you actually push things forward and you get unstuck. You take risks because you've overcome the fear of failure. At our church here and our staff, we try to adapt this mentality that essentially failure is acceptable. Failure is part of the program. And that's okay. And if we're not failing, that's evidence that we're not pushing forward. We use this language sometimes. We say, "Hey, we want to run an experiment." Around here, we just do experiments, and that language of experiment is really something that helps you to kind of be okay with failure. Like, we don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it, and if it doesn't, we'll back up and gather and we'll punt. And we'll try something different. And so if you're stuck right now and you're not seeing the growth, it's probably because, or one of the reasons is you're not taking enough risks. Maybe you need to launch that service, that second service, maybe that third service. You need to branch out and start a campus or maybe a second campus. You need to make that hire that you're afraid of making. Take the risk. It's worth it. We have a big God, and He has put a big vision in our hearts. Hey, church leaders, pastors, business leaders, really quick, I wanted to remind you, coming up in September 16th and 17th, we're doing our first ever Church Growth Conference. We're calling it Church Growth Unleashed. You're not going to want to miss this. We're bringing in some incredible speakers, bringing in Kyle Eidelman from Southeast Christian, Ed Newton from Community Bible Church, my friend Ryan Mayer, who oversees the social media department at Life Church. We're bringing in Aaron Brockett from Tradersport Community Church to do a mastermind for senior pastors. Guys, we're going to be talking about strategies, tactics, how to grow your church. If your church is stuck, or if you just want to take it to the next level, this is going to be the conference for you. So mark your calendars, September 16th and 17th. This September. We're also doing a VIP dinner on the 15th. You might want to check that out. If you sign up now, there'll be an early bird special for the conference. You'll knock $50 off. We hope to see you there. We hope that you'll bring some of your team. And now back to the episode. Number 3. Identify lead measures. Identify lead measures. Say, what's a lead measure? Well, several years ago, our team read this book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And Chris McChesney and Sean Covey talk about lead measures in this book. And basically, they say a lead measure is any activity that leads to growth. And they say that a lead measure is 2 things. It's both influenceable and predictive. And so what do those 2 things mean? Well, influenceable means that it's something you have control over. It's an action that you can take. So a lead measure is something that you can do, and it's also predictable in the sense that other people have taken this action and they have gotten results. So there's evidence. Okay, other churches have done it, other leaders have done it, and so there's a good chance that if you do it, you will get the same results. So in the book, they use the example of weight loss, and a lead measure when it comes to weight loss. There's a couple, but the ones that are influenceable and predictive are doing your cardio. That's something you can do, right? And there's evidence that it works, and also reducing your calories. It's something you can do, and there's evidence that it actually works. If you're in a calorie deficit and you're doing cardio and you do that every single day, you're going to lose the weight. So those would be the lead measures that you would use if your goal is to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds. Well, in the same way, that's how you need to lead your church. In fact, your job as a leader in your organization, I know not everyone watching is a senior pastor or CEO. Your job as an executive or some leader in ministry, maybe you oversee a youth ministry or something like that. Your job is to identify, okay, we're stuck, right? We're not seeing the growth we need. What are the lead measures that would lead to growth to get us unstuck? What are the things that are influenceable and predictive? And your job as a leader is to identify those things and start to execute on those things. And by the way, anything that's not a lead measure, you've got to have the courage to get rid of it, which is tough in church. I understand, because there's a lot of sacred cows and things that people love, and, like trunk or treat or an Easter egg hunt or, some sort of basketball program at your church, or maybe even there's a school in your church. That's a popular thing. Your job as a leader is to say, hey, guys, there's a lot of energy and activity going towards these things, but they are not leading towards growth. They're not producing growth in our church. So we have to have enough courage to cut these things out. And so I've just been sort of a fanatic about that in our church. Like, hey, what is not a lead measure? Why are we doing that? How fast can we cut that? So we cut all kinds of activities and events at our church that do not lead to growth. It's made some people mad. And guess what? That's part of leadership. If you have a problem upsetting people and making mad, you're probably in the wrong position, okay? Because part of leadership is disappointing people. I heard somebody say one time that leadership is disappointing people at a pace that they can handle. I found that to be quite true. But you have to have enough courage to make the hard decisions to cut out the fat and the programs and events that are not leading to growth. So, what have I said so far? Number 1, you got to have a big vision, because that is going to really determine your effort that you're going to put in. Number 2, you have to take more risks and be willing to fail. Number 3, you have to identify the lead measures and cut out anything that is not leading to growth. Now, let me give you this last one, number 4. This is probably the most difficult one. A lot of these things are uncomfortable, okay, to do, but these are things we must do. This is probably the most uncomfortable one. Number 4, you have to refocus your life as a leader on the 20% of the activities that are leading to growth. You do, as the leader. Because here's the truth about leadership. John Maxwell talked about this many, many years ago. It's the law of the lid. You're at the top of the organization, or maybe you're on the executive team or leadership team, or you're at the top of the youth ministry, whatever, the worship department. You are the lid. If it's not growing, guess what? That's on you. You are the problem. And so you need to grow. You need to expand your capacities, your abilities. And here's how you do that. You look at the church, you look at the organization, the business, and you say, what activities, what events, what are those things that are leading to growth? And that's where I'm going to spend 80% of my time, because here's what's true. Only 20% of the things in your business or church are leading to growth. That's just a fact. There's a great book called 10X is Better Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. If you haven't picked up right now, I'm a big reader. You need to be a big reader. You need to read a lot of books, leadership books. I'll also put the link to that book in the show notes. It's called 10X is Bigger Than 2X. In that book, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan explain this concept. Only 20% of the activity in your church or business is getting you results. 80% of it is busy work. This is so true for pastors. Like, we do a lot of stuff. We do weddings, we do funerals, we do counseling sessions, we do meetings, we do a lot of stuff. Well, if you want to get unstuck, you got to say, hey, what is that 20%? And then you have to make that 20%, whatever that is, 80% of your week, and let somebody else do the other stuff. And this is going to require you as a leader to let go. You have to let go. You've got to empower other people. You have to hire other people, whether that's staff or volunteers or somebody. You have to let go of control, which is a big reason why we don't do this. But when you become convinced that there's a very small percentage of activities that are leading to growth, and you have to spend most of your time doing those things, you will make this change. It's going to require you to shift your schedule. It's going to require you to spend time with different people, stop spending time with certain people. It's going to require a reorganizing of your week. But this is what it takes to get unstuck. So my 20%, you're probably sitting here, well, what are the 20% of the things that lead to growth? Here's mine. Number 1 is my sermon. That is the primary way that we grow our church, is the speaking and picking the topics and making sure those topics are both challenging and relevant to the crowd that we are trying to reach. So we work very hard on that. Number 2, leading my team. I lead an executive team. We've got 4 people on that team. That's a massive investment of my time in the week. We spend hours together each week. We follow the meeting structure in the book Traction. Gino Wickman calls it a level 10 meeting. We made our own version of that, and that's one of the most critical things I do all week. Number 3, raise money. I know this is kind of a touchy subject for pastors, and maybe I'll do a whole podcast on this in the future. But pastors, you are the primary financial fundraiser in your church. And if you're not raising money, things are going to struggle. So you have to organize your week around that concept. And so each week I will invest in high-capacity givers in the church. I have a list of the top 100 givers in our church, and I will invest in them. I will spend time with them. I will disciple them, because guess what? They have spiritual needs. They have needs going on in their family. They need help in their spiritual life walking with Jesus. And so I will have a Thursday meeting with one of those people. We'll have lunch. We'll grab coffee, and we'll talk about life. And I will let them know what's going on in the church and encourage them. And sometimes I'll even make an ask. And it's not every time, but sometimes I'll do that depending on what's going on in the church. But massive fruit from those meetings. Tremendous fruit from those meetings. Some of you might be thinking right now, well, maybe that's favoritism or you shouldn't know what people give. I know some pastors take that position. I see it differently. I see Paul explaining in Romans 12 that there's a gift of generosity. There's a gift of giving. So a person who has the ability to make money is responsible to steward that money well. Well, who's discipling that person? It's very easy to see someone who has a fantastic voice to come alongside of them and say, hey, you need to use that voice to bless our congregation during worship on Sunday mornings. Have you considered trying out for the worship team? Yeah, that's fine. We do that all day long. What about the folks who have a different gift in business to become profitable and to make money? It's the same concept. And so someone needs to come alongside of them, senior leaders, mostly you. You could delegate this to someone else, but someone has to be responsible to come alongside those folks and help them to steward the gift that they have to maximize the potential of the church, if that makes sense. So that's part of my 20%. And then the last part of my 20% is pouring into leaders, is developing leaders, pouring my life into pastors, making this podcast, putting out content for other leaders. That's why this year we're starting our first ever Church Growth Unleashed conference to pour into leaders and to develop leaders and to share the wisdom that we know. Because the more we pour into leaders, the more effective their churches can become, and we multiply our effect. So that is my 20%. So now I need to make sure that 80% of my week is spent on that 20% of activities. That requires you to change your schedule. That requires you to shift how you're thinking. Who are you with during the week? Who are the people that you're spending time with? What are the activities that you're doing? And that creates change. Listen, there's a great book. I'll mention another book here. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldman. I read this book about 10 years ago. And I was like, wow, that is so true. The title says it all. Like wherever you're at in business or ministry, what got you here will not get you here, which means you have to do different things. I love chapter 4. He talks about the 20 habits you need to stop doing, the 20 things as a leader you need to quit doing. Chapter 4 is worth the price of the book as well. And so, if you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to get the results that you're getting, right? That's the basically the definition of insanity, right? And so we have to change who we are. Now, going back to number 1, having a big vision requires that. Like right now, we have 9 campuses as a church. And we have 4 microsites, which are basically smaller groups of people that are meeting. And the hope is that those microsites would turn into multi-sites. I lead our church very differently today at 9 campuses than I did when we had 2 campuses or 1 campus. My time is different. The people I talk to are different. The content I'm producing is different. Who I'm pouring my life into is different. Now, here's the thing. What got us to 9 campuses will not get us to 20 campuses. Our goal is to get to 20 campuses. We want to reach 20,000 people by 2035. That's impossible. That's audacious. It's big. Well, I have to learn. I'm sitting here, I'm talking to myself. I have to learn, like, what do I need to change in my schedule? What do I need to change about my capacity in order to lead a church that has 20 campuses? Honestly, I'm still asking that question. But it's the same question you have to ask yourself. If you want to get to the next level, it's really a capacity issue when it comes to your leadership. You are the lid to your organization. And so this is uncomfortable. I told you I was going to push you, but this is what we do for each other. This is what I do for each other. I'm committed to help you become the best leader that you can possibly be. And so what have I said today? 4 things. If you're stuck today, create a big vision, an impossible vision, a big, audacious vision. Take risks. Number 2, identify what are the lead measures that will lead to that success, and then refocus your life, your schedule, around those lead measures, the 20% that will produce the best results for your church. I hope this is encouraging. I hope it's a blessing, man. I hope you share it. Maybe you watch it with your team, process it with them. And again, my hope in this podcast is to help you become the best leader that you can possibly be. Before we go, real quick, I am putting out content each week, twice a month. If you're interested in getting some of that content, it's practical leadership stuff. I'm not an expert, but I am a practitioner. I'm doing this every single week, just like you are. And so I'm going to be putting out some leadership content. If you would like to get that content, all you have to do is go to Pastor Danny Anderson /leadership. Give us your email, and I'll start sending you that content on a weekly basis. Again, that's Pastor Danny Anderson /leadership. Hey, God bless you guys. I hope this was encouraging, and we will see you on the next episode.